So this video is all about table spaces. So we're going to create different types of table spaces and convert others. The first thing I want to do is start off with dictionary managed table spaces, and this has to do with extent management. You can create a locally managed table space or a dictionary managed table space. It's hard to create a dictionary managed table space these days because the only way to do that is with the create database command, and you have to leave out the extent management portion of it, and then it will create the system table space in data dictionary as a data dictionary table space or dictionary managed table space, and therefore it will have the $FET object in there so you can create dictionary managed table spaces. But these are not good performers, so as a general rule you want to create locally managed table spaces, and when you create databases with DBCA they're always locally managed. But so I've gone ahead and done the create database statement manually and created a at least one table space that's dictionary managed, so let's take a look at that. So the first thing I said is that that FET dollar object must exist, so let's take a look at that first. Object name from DBA objects where object name is equal to FET dollar. Okay, this suggests that there is the availability to or opportunity to create data dictionary managed table spaces. Let's take a look at the table spaces. Select table space name extent management DBA table spaces. Notice that they're all locally managed except for the system table space, and that's okay. Let's go ahead and create a dictionary managed table space. I want you to see the syntax. So let's go create table space tbs1 data file slash u slash user2 slash or data slash tbs1.dbf size 100 megs to extend next 100 megs. Extent management is dictionary. And so now let's run this particular thing again. Let's query again. And lo and behold, now we have a data dictionary or dictionary managed table space. Now I want to convert that dictionary managed table space to locally managed, and that's easy to do for a non-system table space. So let's go ahead and do that conversion. We go exec dbms space admin dot table space migrate to local, and I'm going local, and I'm going to say tbs1, and now let's run this command again, this query again. And that's great. So you can convert nearly every type of table space, non-system table space, using this dbms space admin command. But for the system table space, you have to do certain things that are special. You have to take your non-system table spaces offline, not including the undo and the temp, and I'm sorry, not offline. You have to make them read-only, and you have to make your sysaux table space offline, and then build your database back up in restrict and exclusive mode. So let's go ahead and do all of those things. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and change my table spaces. So alter table space users read only. Alter table space tbs1 read only. Alter table space sysaux offline. Shut down immediate. let's do the exec dbms space admin table space migrate to local system. Now let's go alter table space sysaux online. Alter table space users read write. Alter table space tbs1 read write. And let's go ahead and shut down media, and I'm going to bring it back up with no restrictions. Now the thing to keep note here is startup. Once you convert the system table space to locally managed table space, you can never go back. You can't go back to dictionary managed table space no matter what. So, or at least I'm told. I'm not sure why you would want to, but that's the story. So now let's go select table space name extent management from DBA table spaces. And with any luck, they're all local now, and they are. And that's it for this section of this video. So in this section, I want to talk about auto allocate versus uniform. These are options with the local extent management, and I'm just going to go ahead and create them, and we'll look at validating them in DBA tablespaces. And the auto allocate is the default, but sometimes you want uniform sizes for your extent, so you can do that. So let's go ahead and create some table spaces, and we can differentiate them by querying DBA tablespaces. So let's go ahead and do that. Create table space TBS2 data files let's query them off out of DBA tablespaces. So select space name, set line size to be 150 SA. Select table space name extent management allocation type initial extent next extent from DBA tablespaces where table space name is in DBS2. Okay, so TBS2 is a auto allocate, and so it's referred to as a system allocation method, and the initial extent is 65536 bytes. so it decides what the initial and next extent is going to need to be. However, when we do a uniform size table space, we define the initial and next extents. They're always going to be the same. And that's it for this particular section. So in this section, I want to talk about segment space management, and you have two choices here. With respect to table spaces, you can have either manual space management or auto space management. Auto is the default, but if you choose manual, then you need to specify your percent used, your free list, and your free list groups. If you choose auto, which is the more common and the default, then it uses bitmap indexes to manage all that for you. So I'm going to go ahead and create two table spaces, one with manual and one with auto segment space management, and we'll take a look at those. So let's take a look at those table spaces. So select the table space, name, segment, space management, DBA table spaces, where table space TBS. Whoops. And we're done for this section. So in this section, we want to talk about default table space compression. And for the OCM exam, there are some compression options to use. There's some others that will be relevant for Exadata, but I don't think those will be relevant for us during our exam. So I'm just going to create two different table spaces with a certain amount of compression here. So let's go ahead and do that. Now let's query the DBA table spaces. And we're done with default table space compression. So in this section I want to differentiate between small file and big file table space. In big file table space you can only have one data file for the table space, but it can grow very large in the terabyte range. So I want to show how to create that, but first, before I do, I want to show that there's some default database properties. So I want to run a query to show you what the default properties are. So let's go ahead and show you with respect to table spaces. So let's go ahead and log in. So I'm going to say set lines to be 150. So here's the database. If I did this query correctly, it will tell us the default properties for table spaces. So there's a default temp table space. This is the name of the default temporary table space if you create a user. This is the default permanent table space for a user if you don't specify. And the default type of table space when you create one, if you don't specify it, is always a small file. So let's go ahead and create some table spaces. And let's go create table space TBS 8. Actually, create small file table space TBS 8. Again, small file is the default, so I don't have to specify it. Data file. Let's query the DBA table spaces here. So let's go ahead and select table space name, big file DBA table spaces, where table space name is in TBS 8, TBS 9. And we can show that we created a small file in TBS 8 and a big file table space in TBS 9. And that's it for this particular section. So in this section, I want to talk about undo table spaces. Undo table spaces are pretty easy. You just have to specify a certain parameter to create an undo table space. But there are some init.aura parameters that are responsible or necessary to play with for your particular instance. So let's go ahead and look at that. First of all, I'm going to create an undo table space. So create undo table space TBS and data file. Look at the contents. So let's select table space, name, contents, DBA table spaces, where table space name is equal to DBS10. See, it says the contents here is undo, but it'll probably never be used because let's show some parameters. Show parameter undo. So, show parameter undo. So for this particular database instance, and there's only one instance for this database, the undo table space that is used at startup is called undo TBS. So this has to be present, and it will be used there. If it's not present, it will use the system table space or no table space at all, in which case that would be very dangerous. And also, so you need to make sure that this table space is actually created at startup or is available at startup. In a rack instance, you'll see multiple undo table spaces that are defined for each instance. So in this case, we have one instance and one database, so we only have one table space. The undo retention by default is set to 900 seconds, which is 15 minutes. For some parts of the exam where we're doing some flashback, this is probably not acceptable, and we're going to change it to something very much larger. And then undo management is set to auto. We always want it to be auto. You can set it to manual, but that means it will use some sort of external rollback segments method, which is an older method. Don't do that. Leave it as auto. And that's all there is about undo table spaces. So in this section is a rather big section. It's about temporary table spaces, and we want to do a few things. One is we want to create some temporary table space. We want to change it, the default temporary table space for the database. We want to change a user's temp table space, and we want to create and use table space groups. Table space groups are only for temporary table spaces. So let's first let's look at what temp table spaces are already out there. Alright, so there's only one temporary table space out there, and it's called temp TS1. So let us create a temporary table space right now. Notice I'm using the word temp file here. That's what's required. Okay, let's go. Now let's do our query from before. And as I indicated here, we have to use the word temp file here. So when we look at something like DBA data files, we actually look at DBA temp files. So in fact, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so next let's go back, and we've done this before in a previous section. Let's look at the default database properties for the database in terms of tablespaces. In particular, let's look at the default temp tablespace for the database. So you see the default temp tablespace for the database is temp TS1. So when you create a user and you don't give it a temp tablespace or define a temp tablespace, it's going to use temp TS1. Let's go ahead and change the default temporary tablespace. How is that done? Alter. This is one of the rare alter database commands. Alter database default temporary tablespace is temp TS2. And then let's run our query again. Now it's changed to temp TS2, and now just for fun, I'm just going to go ahead and change it back. Alright, so let's query DBA users for now. So let's select username. So what we're going to do is change the temporary tablespace for a particular user, but let's just look at what the users are currently using, and they should all be using temp TS1. And they are. So for grins and giggles, let's go ahead and change alter a user. So let's go alter system. And let's user space. And we have changed the system tablespace to temp TS2. Now let's go ahead and create a tablespace group. Tablespace group is just a group of temporary tablespaces. So let's do the following. Let's put temp TS1 and temp TS2 in one tablespace group. So let's go alter tablespace temp TS1 tablespace group is OCM TBS GRP. Alter tablespace temp TS2 tablespace group OCM TBS group. So now they're both in the same group. So you can also query tablespace groups. So we can say select star from DBA lastly, let's go ahead and let's alter user. Alter user system temporary table space is now OCMTBSGRP, and select username temporary table space from DBA users. And so now we can see that the system is using the tablespace group OCMTBS group, and which is a combination of TempTS1 and TempTS2. So what we can see is that the tablespace groups are in the same namespace as the tablespace names themselves. And that's all for this particular section.